and my enemies. You know what I mean?
I feel like I need an intro video. I wonder if I could just borrow Criminalities and just play hers
Just
because hers
steal
is
it.
so good. Yeah, it's so good.
Just steal it.
I'll be like, look, this isn't my video. This is Criminalities
Yeah.
video. Hi, guys. Are we live? Hello, everyone. Let me check on here. Hello, hello, hello. Oh, Mar's in the house. Hey, Mar. How are you? Thanks for being here. So here we are. Okay, I'm here with Josh Mar. Woman.
Spooky Town Girl.
Hey, how are you?
Woman. Isabel. Critical True Crime.
How are you? How's everybody doing tonight? Josh, it's so good to see you. Thank you for being here. I'm super excited. I haven't seen you around the internets at all.
Yeah, thanks for the invite. I've been kind of, laying low.
I don't blame you.
It's I think everybody knows I'm just kind of focusing on my health. I'm having some, I don't know, neurological something or other going on, but
I mean, who doesn't?
And I want to, like, having to flip, get out of the industry that I was in. I'm not working in behavioral health now.
Okay.
I'm dispatching for first responders over the weekends, like Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights, overnight. So I'm now nocturnal, which typically I'm a very early morning person. And the last time that I did an interview, like, I had been up for many, many hours, and, my symptoms, I was just getting pretty symptomatic, and I bailed. And it was just hard, man. Like, I felt like I had to step away from this thing, like permanently, because, well, like, I still feel very strongly that, if you're going to be on screen talking about Richard Allen, you should be, entertaining and interesting and engaging, and
you should are be able all of those things.
You should be able to complete your sentences, and it's like the bare minimum.
Maybe.
And I wasn't able to do that, right? So I also feel like we should be, those of us who really know this case, because there's nobody other than the lawyers and the people who committed the crime and some of the cops that know this case better than we do, right? And there's people that are going to be out there, wanting to hear about it, and we should be pushing this to, like, a bigger and bigger audience,
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah.
So, it's like reassessing my role. I've always just been one of the rabble. It's not like I have, it's not like I'm a lawyer. So,
you're
like,
an investigative
maybe making
reporter.
recorded content.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I like that. Well, thank you for coming live with me. I appreciate it. So, I'd love to see some of your recorded content. Like, I think documentary style would be really good for you.
Yeah.
I think that would suit you really well. But yeah, we need your input. We need your voice out here. So thank you. And look, everybody's in the chat. So Spooky, hello. And then somebody else came in. I think I saw Fiend. I just want to say hi.
Oh, Fiend is in here? Cool.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, there he is. Belle, hello. So yeah, no, everybody's super excited to see you. So I'm so happy to have you here. So Phil Allies was on a couple of days ago with me, and we talked about the photo. So do you have any?
Did you get to see her on camera?
No.
No?
No.
Mystery.
No, and I was so upset because I have this, like, girl crush on her, but it's only from her voice, right? So I just imagine what she looks like because she's so smart and she has such a beautiful voice. So I'm like, well, maybe I get to see her, and, like, it didn't happen. She wouldn't allow it. She's too smart for that,
Right.
She's not going to let that happen. We'll get her one day.
One day.
One day we'll get her. But what did you think about the photo?
Which photo?
The still shot of the torture photo. The most
Richard Allen?
Yeah.
I mean, look, it's what you expect. It's what we all knew. Judge Gull was lying, but so he is in there. He's going through a rough time, and I think that it's something that we needed to see, and it needs to be out there. Unfortunately, like in a normal world, that stuff we shouldn't have to see that stuff in a normal world. But there's nothing normal about this. This is Delphi, and we're also used to it. Like that didn't even for the most of us, I don't think that really even shocked us. That should have
it was a confirmation.
Yeah.
Validation, basically.
We're so used to the insanity that we need the new people. We need the Kari and Reed people, we need them to be slack jawed, just so that we can be reminded that none of this is okay and normal, because we're just so used to every single thing that comes up. It's just, whether it's Gull rejecting everything, whether it's no cameras, whether it's, no nexus, whatever it is.
It's living in a constant state of trauma, basically. And so, once you're there, there's no more surprises, right? Because you've just seen so much, so many violations, and it's hard to shake us. But yeah, you're right. And I think it's unfortunate too, because I think it may have gotten a little more traction had everything going on with the Karen Reed case now, with the civil case, that's starting to pick up again, right? So I feel
that might be intentional.
By whom? You think that they dropped the photo
they control the news cycle, and they're going to push certain things. I remember when I don't really get political here, but I remember when the 2016 election and before that, where Ron Paul was running, and the media completely ignored the guy, and he had a huge following. He's immensely popular, but they just made him to completely disappear. And my problem with them and Trump, they're always saying how much they hated Trump, and I was just like, then stop talking about him and make him disappear. But they didn't do that, right? So if they never really, there's this tight little window of things that they will talk about when it comes to Richard Allen in the case, and they never go outside of that, right?
No, not the mainstream media. You're right.
The picture and all of that would just be, no, they're not gonna. I was surprised. I think Max has done some interesting stuff in Indy.
Yeah, he does.
I'm grateful for him. There's probably maybe another reporter that I'm missing, but
see, and that's the problem. That's why there isn't this huge groundswell of support, and we can't get that grassroots campaign going for Richard, because there's lack of media support. There's not that local turtle boy doesn't exist, Well,
if we could get, we've had, we have everything that we would need to really push this thing, all the way from the beginning, you had the groundswell, which, people recently have made, snide or, comments about that, but you had people that were willing to show up in small numbers and still get out there and engage the public. I've said it many times before, but, we were raising money. We hold journalists to account. We do all these kinds of things that would get the attention. I think the community was targeted, and I think that it was attacked, and there was a lot of chaos zone. And
100%. And I think the internet community did all of that, and it was incredible to watch too, right? And I was later into it than all of you, but it's very inspiring as well. But what I'm speaking of is the local campaign, right? Because Gull also capitalized on the insider-outsider dynamic, right? Yeah. So the internet's the outsider, right? Yeah. So my point is that FKR has Turtle Boy, who's local, and he's a local
Oh,
reporter. So actually getting boots on the ground to stand on overpasses and outside of the courtrooms all the time and things like
yeah.
that, like that kind of momentum to really start educating the public. Because otherwise, like with Karen Reed, if we just left it in the hands of mainstream media, it would have been the same exact thing as Richard Allen. 100%.
Yeah, we have I get we do have some locals that are in the community. Spooky. You have some
Absolutely.
people
There
that,
she is.
but for the most part, I do hear from a lot of people from Indiana, and I've heard from someone recently, but people are intimidated. They see
Yeah.
that they're locking cops up. They're destroying cops' reputations and lives, and I don't want to say too much, but I will say that I had a conversation recently with somebody who's in Indiana that's way closer to the case than I am. And I'm just, what I heard about the new attorneys, I was really impressed. People were kind of like, I don't know, I heard some people early on question about Mark and I don't have any concerns at all. I was very impressed. I think that like all of us would be our minds would be blown at some of the things that they are
the appellate attorneys.
Yeah, that they're pushing right now. Like they're pushing they're coming with an A game. And
that's great to hear.
I feel like if this is, people, they want to maybe manage our expectations a little bit and say, only 5% of appeals get, returned or even get a second trial. Right. I'm not sure what it is, but if this is not one of that 5%, it is because of the snake of Indiana. Right? 100%. It's because it's not because of the case, and it's not because the merits. It's because of the corruption.
100%, and I think it's pretty obvious too, because there's just from the civil rights violations alone, right? And then you get all the process issues, just looking at what was admissible and not, like, because that is what the appeal is, right? We're going based on the evidence, but, so yeah.
There's a lot more going on in Delphi than, I think most of us, like, as soon as we heard about Flora, we try as much as we can to absorb Flora and to always remember the girls, right? Because they're not, that's not solved as well, but there's even more than that,
And for those who might be watching that are outside of the Delphi community, the Flora fire is an apparent arson that killed, how many was it? Like 4 girls?
4 girls.
4 little girls in Delphi, Indiana, but they were brown colored and they still haven't solved that case. So it's another unsolved crime, quote unquote, that they just let go. And so,
well, it's one of many arsons.
Okay.
In the state, outside the state.
Okay.
I think, I have been lurking quite a bit. I know that I disappeared, but I've been lurking.
I don't believe that. I think you just totally hermited. No.
No. So there was, like somebody was doing some interesting stuff with some handwriting on a Lauren thing. Cause I've
backed that up.
Reason to believe that, Lauren and that whole crew misrepresented themselves to locals. What? Yes.
HTC.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Misrepresented themselves to locals and abused that trust.
Okay. And can you give me for instance? What do you mean? Because you're being kind of cryptic. Okay.
Yeah. So I was when that whole thing blew up, I was like, oh, yes. Like I thought that whoever this girl was that she was accusing of stalking,
right,
was going to be able to give us the goods on what happened in Delphi, and we would have like corroborating, something to corroborate that.
Yeah.
And nothing really panned out until we saw that handwriting going on with the whole fake juror.
Right.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I remember with the top. What was, I can't remember his name.
So I think this was Shabugs and cryptics. Now I know nothing about handwriting, and I don't know whether it not being cursive is a problem, but that handwriting looked really similar. you know, plus not just the handwriting, but the paper and all of that. So,
right. So just to back up, the fake juror that you're referencing was the interview. Is that the interview with that sports author, the sports journalist? Is that who you're talking about? Okay, right. Okay. And then Shabugs and Cryptics went in and kind of, okay. Yeah.
So like in a normal world, like even after OJ,
mm-hmm.
you know, you had jurors coming forward and doing interviews, right? We even had jurors come forward and say that they said not guilty, even though they thought he was guilty. Right? We had jurors come out and admit that, right? We have no jurors coming out here, really. I mean, maybe we have one. Maybe we have one with Murder Sheet.
Maybe. I mean, she really loved the fashion. She was all about it. That was the most important part of the case for her, was the clothing options.
Yeah.
And the barbecues back to the hotel. So I believe that she was a juror, is what I'm saying. I believe that was inaccurate.
Okay.
Because I don't know, but
so you know, there was something there. I'm not the only one who felt like the media that engaged the case was not, you know, grassroots or whatever, that it was curated or that it was, you know, under control. Andy Kopsa showed up on the scene, and like she just dug right into that. Like she saw it.
She's amazing.
That was her her thing, and she's not wrong.
It's true.
Sometimes I wonder if I say too much.
I don't,
because like I've always been the person in the room who like saw something and just said it. And I always wondered like why nobody else saw this stuff. But the older I get and the more I'm around people, I realize that some people also see it and they just don't say it because maybe they're a little wiser. I was listening to Bob Motta, and it was about this, I don't know, this other case where this guy is claiming to be an FBI informant. And as soon as that guy, like, I was just like, oh yeah, that guy's an FBI informant. I just felt it. I looked him in the eye. I saw his demeanor. I heard what he was saying. And then I heard Bob Motta come out and said the same, you know, he basically everything that I thought Bob Motta was expressing. And so I thought, you know what, maybe Bob sees some of the things I see and he just doesn't go there because maybe it's just not the wisest thing, or maybe it, you know.
That's so fun though. I mean, I don't know. I think I have the lack of that filter as well, and maybe it is smart to be more discerning, especially when we're speaking of things like this. But at the same point, I think we need to get it out there, correct?
Yeah, but you know, also, you know, there's just not the association with the attorneys that Bob has. So like Bob probably couldn't go out and say some of the things that I say about the feds and blah blah blah, just because it would reflect poorly on them. Who knows? Who knows? But I've been lurking, you know, I've been watching some of the things I've been saying and keeping up with it some. But you know, I just needed to like get some rest. And
well, people were worried about you. Yeah. So, but we're happy that you're here because, you know, people are in the chat here. We genuinely missed you, Josh.
Well, that's critical. I feel the same way. I mean, I felt like I lost an arm. You know, I spent what, 2 years or however, well, I mean, since the girls went missing, but really since the Franks, just every day, like everybody, like we all have. And, you know, when the thing happened and I had an opportunity to be in front of 100,000 people talking, like I got a second chance to do it. And I failed, you know, I screwed up.
You didn't fail.
And I'm like, okay, this is not my place, and I need to understand that. And I mean, I went through a mourning period. Like I know, like I still have emails that I have not opened. I would use Grok occasionally, and I would see that like I had 36 messages, and I didn't open one. I didn't open my profile. I didn't open my email. I had text messages that I haven't even responded to yet. Like I went through a serious period of mourning. I was like, I have to like divorce myself from this thing because if I'm around it,
I get that, but also it doesn't, I mean, you missed one interview, right? Like that's because of what was going on. So I understand that, but like you're here still, like you're not going anywhere, I get it though, but I understand. Like you had to separate yourself. Why?
I mean, I don't even know why I'm back. Like, I don't even know what I'm doing right now,
Well,
like,
you can't say no to me, so that's not just kidding.
Yeah. I've been like, because of my memory and stuff, I've been like shooting like other investigations that I was doing before Delphi and concurrent with Delphi that I had to like kind of put on the back burner because they were so politically charged that, people, we're all here in Delphi, right? We got people on the far left, the middle, and the far right. Everybody sees the tragedy. And if I was like kind of trying to cover some of this other stuff, it would like half the people would never want to hear me because of these other stuff. So I've been like pushing some of this other stuff, to other, investigators and whatnot, trying to get them to, just giving them everything I have. Cause I'm just not, I probably, and this is not an exaggeration. I might even do it publicly. I lost about 40 IQ points.
Okay.
And I have constant, vicious tinnitus. It is screaming. Sometimes it physically hurts. So.
Oh, Josh.
Yeah.
It's just I understand what you're saying, but I think, so we all love you though.
Well,
we all love you, number one.
Not to interrupt, but just recently, like we've seen it publicly, like I've had like 2 simple reading comprehension, like just totally misunderstanding English. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's rough. But they say like, after you get sober, around 5 years, like there's you get hit with health issues. And I'm like just hit 6 years, and that's when it hit me.
Okay.
Hard.
Number one, you have to take care of yourself. Like Mar said, like you have to put yourself first, right?
Yeah.
And this is just, I know I don't want to ask you too many like other personal questions, but it's just a moment, right? And it's nothing permanent, and you're still here doing your thing. I didn't know, I didn't understand that was the case of what was going on with you. So I
What do
just
you
want
mean?
you to take care of yourself. I didn't understand the gravity of what was happening.
Yeah, I mean it comes in waves, and I don't really understand it. And I had a neurologist say, well, this is stress or something. Here, have some Xanax. And I'm like, bro, do you know me? I'll do anything on Xanax. But so I don't, I didn't take that script. And I thought it was stupid that he would give that to somebody with memory issues, but they said it was stress related.
Well, okay. Have you tried doing like work with frequencies, like sound healing and things like that? Because you could really heal the brain in this way.
I've been using a frequency to drown out the tinnitus.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe we'll talk like off the air about that. But there's a lot of different exercises that you can do in terms of healing the mind and bringing back your memory and things like that. And I don't know, maybe we could talk more about that. But
maybe. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I've done some research like recently. Like they're definitely, but a lot of that stuff, like you can heal after kinds of injuries, like maybe you're using too much of the new high grade marijuana, or you're, you know what I mean? Like, if you stop that, certainly your brain can recover, but I don't know what's going on.
Well, so one thing I think of, and this is like we're going to segue also into what we want to mention from X, that Nurse Lindsay, but there's a lot of work that I've seen done, and not to take away from you, but like when people go through PTSD and things like this, they have that brain fog, right? So veterans have that. And what I notice is there's also a COVID brain fog. So I'm not saying that there's like an intentionality, because we, who knows?
Yeah.
With everything where that came from, and then also the vaccination. But the brain fog that comes after COVID is almost exactly the same as a PTSD brain fog, which I found very interesting.
Did you ever get COVID? Did you get COVID?
Yeah, and I've had the PTSD brain fog, and they are exactly the same. And I've had to do like vagus nerve exercises and all of this stuff to bring myself out of that brain fog faster, right? So I thought it was very interesting that the entire world was basically hit with something that this virus that causes this neurological issue that can be easily triggered once again in an instant, from either some other traumatic event or something else, right? That would require like brain healing activities with frequencies and other things. So that just made me think of that, because also Nurse Lindsay, we put her link in the chat somewhere. Do you want to talk about that? You wanted to bring her up?
Yeah, sure. So so I didn't get vaccinated. I did have COVID once. I had fever dreams. It was the weirdest thing I've ever been through. I was laying in bed. I thought I was at work turning knobs. It was just, and it would lasted for like a week. It was bizarre.
Did you have the fog though? Other than that, did you have the fog?
No, after it went over, it went away, I was fine. Okay. Until now, I guess. But this lady, she was a nurse, and she was just out of nursing school. She's in my followers, and I follow her. Her name is Nurse Lindsay, and she was just out of nursing school. She was an athlete all her life, very in shape, very healthy, and she was told she had to get the vaccine. So she got the vaccine. She was told she had to get the booster. She got the booster. And then she had this terrible negative reaction where I think it's like a cytokine storm, they call it.
Okay.
And her body has been constantly making the spike protein and will not stop.
Oh,
wow. You don't see a whole lot of people that are really, I don't know, critical of RFK, but she is like, she's clued in with this. There's this group of people that are vaccine injured, and she's very critical of, like, I guess some of the things that he's not doing. But there's a treatment that she wants to take part of, but it's not FDA approved, but it is legal in Japan. And so there's a Give Son Go, and she's trying to go to Japan for this treatment. And she is part of a very small, group of people that were very vaccine injured. And I'm telling you, she lost all of her hair. She's at this place where she can just lay around most of the day. You follow her Twitter feed and see what she's going through. But she's a fighter, she's a fighter. I think she's a Karen Reed person too.
She is FKR. I checked out her profile, so I'm going to drop it down here. So she's familiar. We have to support her. And I just dropped the Give Send Go in the chat as well. And here is this. Let me see if I put the right one. Hold on. Let me drop her X in there as well, because that's a lot. I didn't know the extent of it with her. Hold on. Let me see. I lost her X. I'll just put the ad.
I mean, there was that lawyer. There's that lawyer that just had the brain surgery. Did you see that?
No.
He had a large brain tumor, and I guess he made it through the surgery.
Oh, right. Yeah, I forgot who that was though. Nate something.
Yeah.
Was it Nate something? Yeah. Well, I hope that here, I'm just trying to get her.
Hey, Fiend. Yeah, I know. I'm sure there are. I just she's got a very interesting take on her critique of RFK.
The brain.
I was actually surprised, but I guess I shouldn't have been.
That's her X.
There you go. Thank you so much for putting that in there, because like I had asked somebody who typically does like fundraising, and I said, hey man, like there's this girl, and could you do a fundraising stream for her? And he says, well, that's medical malpractice and I don't do that.
Oh well.
So maybe I'll do a stream or something like that, and just like do a couple 24-hour streams. It's only $30,000, so
yeah. Well, I'm sure everybody else can try to help out as well, because she is FKR, she's another advocate, and that's, it's necessary. I wanted to go back to Click though, because you were talking about, and I remember Spooky somewhere in the chat, she was saying that they're trying to lock us all up. So we were talking about the lack of a grassroots movement, really, right? And then people being in fear. And we can go back to the FBI task force, right? Because I wanted to talk to you about Todd Click and what's been going on, because I know that you were working on that before you took your break, right? So do you have, like, what's going on with, because he's going into trial, right? So basically he was one of three of everybody knows here, but if you're not familiar with it, he was one of three police officers on the FBI task force who basically put together the Odinist theory. And unfortunately, one, Greg Ferenczi, was murdered, right? And there's the other, and then this Todd Click, he moved into working for child services, and then was brought up on charges of forgery, correct? Which may or may not be. What's your opinion on that?
Well, I think that anytime you move, so paperwork in social services is at an epidemic level. If I talk to you for 15 minutes, I'll have 2 hours of paperwork. I'll have several consultations. I'll have all kinds of things that I have to go through, faxes to send. I'll have emails to wait for. So a lot of times you just kind of grease the wheels, and that's expected. I would say that these people knew exactly where to look in order to take him out. Now, I don't know if he wanted to make that change over into social services, or if they moved him over there because they wanted to take him out. But with the timeline that I put together, I think it's cut and dry. I've talked not many times, but several times I've tried to speak with his lawyer, and they weren't talking to me. Bob Mata, or the Matas, I think they've got a real good connection. I think they were even talking to Kevin Murphy. So, when it eventually gets around to the trial, if it goes to trial, I think they're going to be a really great source of information. I will continue to write eventually, because I think where I left off was something about Holman and, easing the mind, but but because there's very clear retaliation going on there, and I think that just kind of needs to be laid out.
100%.
I spoke with some people, in the court, who fully expected this thing to continue to be continued. So, like, every time it gets up to like the pretrial meeting, there will be a continuance filed by either the prosecution or the defense, and they're just going to keep continuing this thing out. That's the perception of some of the court staff that I spoke with. That was their expectation. Whether or not that's true, I don't know.
And for forgery charges, I think that's a bit excessive. I mean, like, that's kind of crazy, because it's not a murder case or anything. It's because he's in custody for this as well.
Well, I mean, he had a history with, it's like, if you're a cop in Indiana, this whole situation's not lost on you. And what are they protecting? Right. So it's not normal. Nothing is normal here.
Right.
We got used to it, but I think even Andrew Baldwin was saying in an interview with a very good 3-part interview with a law firm, I think in Indianapolis. But he was saying that he was just laying out for people that this is not normal. None of these things that are happening are normal. After this evidence gets lost, this is a serious, thing. They need to get those interviews done again. None of that happened. In a normal world, that happens, right?
Molotov cocktails in a federal office building.
Yeah.
Totally normal. Yeah.
Right.
Totally normal. And it is lost on us as people who follow this case, because there's so much of it, right? So, but there is nothing normal here. You're right. I don't know. And then the Shane Mahan thing, but right. I think he's
I think that like it's really well established, and I think we've seen, you've looked at like Ferenczi's work, and he's a very good cop. And he was probably threatening to some people, and who knows, like there's so much there that's obfuscated that we just don't know.
We don't know. That's it.
It's like
so what do you think? No, so go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Well, I'm just saying, like it's a tragedy, and
100%.
like I don't think that, I don't think we're ever really going to get, we're going to find out what he found out. I don't think we're ever really going to find out, why they wanted him gone, but they did.
This is what happens.
They did, right? So you hope that you do see law enforcement officers, like there was some law enforcement in Mississippi, I think, that were cartel connected. They were actually like using police escorts to move drugs across county lines and that sort of thing, like large amounts of drugs, and they went down.
I mean,
but, okay, let me keep. So one of the things that came out in this new revelation, you see, and the attorneys are very good at like laying the groundwork and putting things in people's heads. Like they asked this question, like, is it normal for Doug Carter to be doing the public relations here? Or isn't that the information officer's job? And the guy, answers, yeah, I've never seen Doug Carter do that. Like, why?
Right.
Like,
why?
What is
that
it?
is a good question.
Yeah. Right. Like, what's going on there? I don't know. I'm more and more open to the third party suspect theory, like just as it sits, being true. Like for the longest time, like I really felt like, the people who could do that to a child, that's a smaller population, one. Two, like it was just so on the nose, like who goes in there and like paints it up like they did it. And we have evidence of like Vinlander's, trying to make an ex-girlfriend or ex-wife or something like that go away by a fake overdose. So they're sophisticated in that way. So why would they go in to kill these two girls and then paint it up like, they did it? And I think it's pretty obvious to me anyways, and is that Messer was going around trying to recruit people who were easily manipulated. To set up, like, hey, come, come spit on these bodies and come decorate it with sticks, and and
you're not wrong.
The club.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Yeah. So, but I talked to people in Indiana, and I think that there are at least a couple of these guys that are capable of harming a child like that, and so.
I feel like you lose me when you say cartel, because I feel like it's so much bigger than that. Do you know what I'm saying? Just because I think it's a good way to look at it, but I don't know if you saw, it was kind of woo, like this video that I did where I'm like, guys, you're never going to find the murderers, right? Because the people who murdered them were the sacrifices, like of the sacrifice, right? Meaning, the people to go in and spit, and they were the power behind whoever actually murdered those girls, like who did this.
I agree with that.
Right. Yeah. So whoever that was, right? That is an energy or a movement or a power structure that is prevalent everywhere. Right. So it's hard, right? Because I know I shouldn't say it either. Like, I know what you're saying.
No, you're fine.
No, but it's true.
Look, I say weird stuff all the time. But I don't think that it's weird. I don't completely understand you. So when I say cartel,
they're reptilians.
Okay.
Draconic. Okay. Like Jeffrey Epstein, sexual, like sex trafficking, cartel members, and all these things.
Yeah. Well, I come at it like, when I say cartel, I'm being very general.
Right.
I don't necessarily mean, and like I think that a lot of the drugs that were coming into, were produced locally, as well as coming in from Canada. Now, I mean local officials who are looking the other way and taking a cut, right? So if you make sure that the competition gets arrested and does time. Well, who are the guys who are basically a walking slap on the wrist? Who are those guys? Who are the defense attorneys? Who are the prosecutors? Who are the judges that are making those things happen, right? Because if you're going to have a local cartel, what you need for it to exist, you don't just need 40 acres in an outbuilding, right? You need cops to look the other way. You need a coroner. You need a judge. You need cops. You need a prosecutor. So you need those things. And that's, for me, that's a cartel franchise if it's going to be dealing with like the Sinaloa or something.
Okay. So we're on the same page.
Yeah. There's a guy who found like how they were using fraudulent mortgages to funnel money back into, and 501c3s and foundations to funnel money back into the boots on the street. So the money is being made through trafficking and all of that. And there's just so much going on there. And there's so many sexual predators that are in that area. And you have the Dropbox. There's just a lot muddying the waters.
I would love to pick your brain about specifics, but I feel like that would be.
Well, like what? I mean, ask me, and then I can.
Why the girls? Why the girls then? If it was
okay, that's the thing. Like I know very little about the crime. The question that I ask is, why were the Patties, targeted? And the easiest one for me was always, the drug connection. The father had, whatever, pissing people off or something like that. It's very mundane. It's very,
there's a connection.
Why were those? But the only thing that I really feel like I'm sure of about the murder is that the girls left with someone, and that the timeline that we've been given is completely bunk.
It's wrong. Yeah. No, and they were brought back 100%.
Yeah.
In stage.
But like motive and all of those things, I got no idea.
I don't know. That's why we have these cops in prison. One is dead, one's in prison. Yeah. But I don't know. Where do I segue from here? Very awkward.
But then you have like this whole media apparatus that is there to continue to sell it. So it's not like, you have people who get access, whether it's at Fox 59 or it's on YouTube, and they get access and they hold the line no matter how asinine it is. And they're proactive in their lying, right? So they show up, they act like they are open-minded, they gain trust of locals, and then they exchange that with law enforcement for access. So you have like predators. So like I don't know. There's people want to throw shade on, various creators that, I don't necessarily think that need to, like, I don't agree with everyone, but I can be wrong, and I certainly don't think that there's a reason to attack people that are, I don't know, what is it? Anonymous and things like that. Right. So, sure, it's spooky, right? It's spooky. But so like part of the beauty of the internet is being anonymous, being able to do that, and like, it's just like, and the only, like, if you had evidence, like if you actually have evidence of someone, I don't know, just lay it out there. Right. But the only thing that would be interesting to me is like, okay, is this person actually working for the state and they're, trying to do something bad? Or is it just somebody who is not your political persuasion, right? Because like that's not interesting to me. It's not even interesting to me if somebody with a pedigree comes along and they want to write a book in the future.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. Like, come, please, right?
Right.
Like, I don't care what your motives are. Like, I want to be very supportive of anybody who's got a large Delphi catalog.
Right.
Period. Right. Let's flush all that out. And like, you don't like somebody's, suspect. You don't like the Ron Logan. You don't like the Keegan Klein. Why? Like, what's the problem? Like, and if you're coming out and attacking like someone like All Eyes, and then you're not offering like an alternative.
Yeah, you're just a douchebag in that case.
So so you've got this ecosystem like Delphi Docs, and I've been in trouble on Delphi Docs, I promise you, more than anybody. Like, you ask them like how many times I've been banned from Delphi Docs more than anybody probably. But they have to protect that space, and you can't say certain kinds of things because they'll use it to get it shut down. And it's the only place where all the documents are available and all of that. So if you're going in there and you're trying to destroy this conversation without offering an alternative, you're only trying to destroy the conversation, which actually hurts Richard Allen, because it takes his, because then they're able to work in the dark. So like, having the conversation is much more important to me than, and I can disagree with all kinds of people and all of that, and even not like them and still support them publicly, 100%. Especially.
Yeah.
So like, if you feel like you're doing the right thing, and the thing is it a lot of that doesn't make sense to me outside of like something that we don't see and understand, because the one conversation that I had about this with one of the attorneys was they felt like this was like professional jealousy. Like, they were coming out after certain creators for releasing certain things, and they were angry that they didn't get the opportunity to release that. And I hope that's what it is, right? I hope that's what it is, because it doesn't
fly. That doesn't make sense.
If I'm not getting juice from one of the lawyers and they're letting me release something, God, give it to me, right? It's incumbent upon me to become more like what that attorney wants, So if I'm trying to be on the battlefield and be a good soldier, I need to do that, right? And I need to be supportive of people. And I just don't. I think that people are too smart, and they ought to be able to see that. It almost seems like there's an effort to destroy the conversation, right? Intimidate people with like doxing and like,
swatting.
I found out what you've got in your, in your closet. I found out that embarrassing thing about you, right? And so that intimidates people from coming out and making content. And it, I've seen people kind of like slow down on their content, and it's concerning for me, So I hate to see that. Now there's just things that I don't know. I've seen there are things that I was basically given to say to certain people, but I held back because I've seen
from whom?
Like, I'm not going to say that, but
you don't blame me for asking, though.
Yeah, no, not at all. Yeah. But I didn't, because like I've seen this person like putting good stuff out, and I'm talking about oh man, I forgot her name. See, my brain.
Is it Amy?
No. It would be it's one of the two private eyes. Not Christine, but what's her name?
I don't know.
Okay, so she does Delphi Dirt.
Okay.
The Delphi Dirt, right?
Okay.
Anyhow, like, she's got some good information. I know she's pissed some people off and all of that, but
But you wouldn't do that, basically.
So like I tried to
you have
have a
integrity
conversation with some of these people. The only person that would ever really talk to me was Christine.
okay.
And Christine gave me, you know, information that eventually became Clovis.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah. So, you know, when somebody, you know, like, it's just, there's a lot more going on here. So you have people like Fig Solves, right? Who
literally I don't know a lot of these
and,
people. I have to be honest with you. I don't even know.
There's a guy who was doing some videos for a while, and his name is Fig Solves. But he was also speaking to McClellan quite a bit. I don't know if he was on the payroll, but he certainly has, you know,
like a Tom Webster type.
Yeah, but you know, he says he's a consultant or something like that. I don't know.
Okay.
So he catfished the private eye that had hired Christine and the other one, Erica. So he catfished their boss, and while they were working for the defense, and then went back to McClellan with, you know, whatever. Now, I don't know what the legality is of a prosecutor working with a consultant that is, you know, catfishing the defense. I don't know if that's legal. I don't know. It certainly sounds unethical to me.
It appears to be that it would. Right. I would think so.
So
these games are played everywhere, though. I mean, it seems it's just so awful because of how they're doing it here. But I mean, you look at the Karen Reed, you look at the Roman Catholic Church across America, right? Yeah. And like, we're not going to get into that conversation here, but it's, you know, they're doing that too, right? And that's kind of their own kind of cartel, right? So they're all operating by the same playbook. So it's like, to me, I'm kind of like, well, how do you cut the head off of the snake? Right? Because it's the same energy that's happening all over the world, really. Okay. Do you know what I'm saying? So I don't know. That's what I get. I'm like, yeah, you know.
Well, I think that there's just a lot of corruption, and a lot of, you know, very corrupt people have risen up. I mean, psychopathy is pretty prevalent in the power structures, right?
But do you think hyper-focusing, you see how we get into the woods of Delphi, right? And we get lost in the forest here because it's so there's so much. What? There, but there's so much to it, right? So yeah. It's and that's intentional, right? Is to create all of these distractions, right? Like you were just saying, how like to stop the conversation and all of these distractions. So at what point is it like, how do we, and this is something that I'm trying to figure out myself for other things, is like, at what do you cut off? Like, what do you go after? Because there's so much corruption, there's so many distractions, right? So whether it's the attack on the social media like, you know, the web sleuths, and then this, and because that's going to lead you to the actual investigation of who did this, right? And then once you get too close to that, then they're going to go and throw us in jail and things like that. Yeah. So where do you go? Like, how do you
well, like for me, like I'm doing what I can do. And the important thing is like, and one of the, I mean, I'm so grateful and proud to be a part of all of you. Because like we've stuck this out, and in very real danger, right? Mm-hmm. People are dying, and so we're all here, and you know, we've got this person who's in prison. You know, we can do that, or we can at least try, right? Mm-hmm. And so then you've got this other person who I consider to be, you know, somebody else on the battlefield, and you know, which is Click, and that's really why I wasn't the only one, because All Eyes, who else? Catastrophe, and you know, a couple other people. As soon as I mentioned Click, like they threw me everything I had. Like they just gave it away. And you know, they were also calling the attorneys in the court and sending letters and that sort of thing. So, you know, you pick the fights that you can win, and you go for that. Like, how can I you know, dethrone, you know, that power. It's not gonna go away. You know, like outside of, federal intervention, I think, there is no better example of the need for federal oversight than this right here.
Well, why can't you just go tell you?
This.
Can you just go tell your boss? Because you're the Fed, right? Like that's who you are.
I know.
No,
I'm totally
you're not a Fed. No, I thought you were a Fed.
No, like yeah, nothing further from the truth. Like,
are you sure?
I mean, what?
Are you sure? No, I'm just joking.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, yeah, I mean, yeah, like they're definitely, they are in our midst. I know that. Like, I mean, that's a job description. But here's the thing, like, it does me no good to try to be a Fed hunter, you know? Because like, what if I find the Fed? What if I find the Fed and I out them and I out them, right? They're just going to get replaced.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, so they have you have to be able to fight in the sphere that you can fight in. Right.
Right.
Like I can barely turn my computer on, let alone hack somebody. Right. So I just have to like make sure that my computer doesn't have anything weird on it, and then just be as well-meaning and upfront as possible. But I know that we have people in our midst that are, but be nice to everybody.
Be nice. That's the
and like, so what if there's alts, right? Like, that's the beauty of the internet. Like, I could be 6 people if I want to be. It's a lot of work. You got to use a lot of pins, I guess. Yeah. But no. But here's the thing. The existence of those people is actually a good thing. Like, if you have stakeholders sitting at your table engaging you, is because they need to, like that. And I've said it before, but like that, the post trial press conference, they were talking to us. We did that.
No, I agree with you 100%.
We did that.
This movement has had such an impact. It's incredible, to the point that Gull mentions YouTubers in her court filings. I mean, that I don't see that anywhere. I really don't. That was
the best exchange where he says, "Oh, she's a YouTuber," and Ajay is like, "Oh God."
Right. Oh yeah, I saw.
Oh God. That was good. That was the best.
But everywhere. I mean, but it's because they're terrified of it. They're terrified.
But we're not just rabble like me. We do have people with technical. We do have people with technical, abilities, and we have lawyers and we have cops, right? So we're, and we have people in retrograde. We have psychics and mediums and
yeah,
we do. We have Thelemites and we have Masonites and we have Odinites.
And we have Odinites. We do have Odinites. Yeah.
And people like, that's like, there's a higher, I don't know. It is weird, right? There's a higher population of people into Thelema that are into this thing, but you got a bunch of Masons too. And, but I don't know if I digress, but I don't know if the whole Odin thing was really, I think they really considered themselves more Asatru. I think in Indiana, it's like called the AFA or something. There's like a split. There's like a very pagan, very open, welcoming version of Asatru. And then there's a very,
dark.
You kind of got to be white.
Right.
Or there, like people that would say, okay, so okay, Josh, you're from Europe, but what part of Europe? You don't have blonde hair and blue eyes. Like there are people on 4chan that will tell me that I'm not white. And they're right. I'm like part Blackfoot. So.
Yeah. I mean, Italians aren't white according to people like that. So,
Yeah.
No, but
Were you expecting this tonight? It's good times.
No, I'm enjoying it. It's just like talking to a friend. Because honestly, I'm just glad I got us on the screen. I figured that out. The last time, All Eyes and I, like, you know, we didn't even get to the screen. So this is
that was good. It was amazing. Fun. It was good to, you know, I don't know. I appreciate you taking one for the team. So the cool thing is like, I even said this early on, you know, we're an intimidating group because like one channel will go down and another will pop up and replace it. You know, you've got, you know, there's Shibby, there's these people that are really putting stuff out. And, you know, I know how much work it is to get on camera and present and do all of that. And so really you're taking one for the team if you're on the screen. You know, it's nice to just be able to come into a chat and sit and listen to other people, you know?
Right. I agree. It
really is.
And you're the one. No, and thank you for coming and talking to the people, because this is the thing. Like, I believe that every time we get a little bit of content, right? And it's not going to be the deep diving where everybody's like really going into all the documents and figuring things out. That's for, I think, us, that content, right? But the content of really talking and just having this conversation, that can get into other niches, right? That can kind of flow into other people. I think that's really how we're going to spread this, spread the information about the case and things like that. So.
Yeah. Okay. So like your niche, definitely. Right. I mean, sure. So like, just treat it, you know, treat it the way it needs to be treated, because there are people out there that'll say that I'm going to do a tarot reading and I'm going to tell you who the killers are.
If we don't do that, because then we
had a lady reach out to me and she told me it's this trucker from Arizona, and
give me that bitch's name. Let me fucking talk to her. Who did that?
I mean, I got rude and she unfollowed me. So I forget her name. I'll look it up for you if you want.
No.
So
I'll let you know if I get angry.
Though, like, it was weird that like she claims to be this medium, but she's not doing, you know, the kind of the medium circuit. You know, she has a book, but she doesn't do like the medium circuit pushing it, you know. I think that she's sincere. I think that she believes that
that she's a medium. Yeah. She believes that she's a medium. Yeah, that we have a lot of those. We have, you know, and I see those people. I don't know. There's the psychics that'll do the true crime tarot or the true crime mediumship. It's pretty unethical. And, you know, I was right about Hana Kobayashi, but I was, but I also, but I wasn't doing tarot card readings. Right. So that was like my first, real taking a case, but it wasn't a case. It was just following it and covering it and doing some content on it. That was the first one. And the first thing I did was yell at the spiritual community for doing tarot card readings on Hana Kobayashi. I remember that. But I don't see too much of that with Delphi. I think people are scared of Delphi. I think psychics are scared of Delphi.
Okay. Yeah. So
I haven't seen it.
With Delphi, there's like, if you push this conversation to the wider audience, it gets relegated to the woo-woo. So who was it? The Occult Rejects reached out to me, and I said, look, I don't really think I'm your guy, because this is my take on that case. And then they went and talked to this other guy who's talking about this global death cult, and
I don't know, all the real spiritualists.
It's almost like he tried. It's like I don't know. People think I'm weird, but let me tell you. So the thing is
weird. Let's talk to them.
Is if we you can. I got into this thing because I wanted to engage creators, and I found that if I got a mic and I got a thing on which I wanted to do documentaries, but I found that I could talk to some of these people, and you know, they would talk back to me. And I think HCC and Ange were like the Mothman were like the first people to really give me an opportunity to talk to them, and it was really cool. But you can do that to larger creators, people with big audiences. They will talk to you. And so it's not necessarily like a, like let it bleed out. Like you can push it. And, I was able to do that with like Zach and John. And I mean, I failed eventually, but the thing is like, there's if you can divorce yourself from the politics of it and go to talk to somebody like you totally disagree with on anything else, I'd go on The View and talk about Richard Allen. Right. I would go, I'd go anywhere to talk about Richard Allen. So it's like, if you can find someone with a larger audience, and that audience is politically engaged and, wants to fight corruption and all of that. I've said it before, but, the FBI and Kash Patel and all those people, they wrote a large check, right? And we should expect them to follow up and cash it, right? So they said that they were going to deal with corruption. Well, we've got a lot here. And
I'm still waiting.
Sure. But like, I mean, you could, like, if you could just say that, no matter how you felt about the election, that when it comes to like America First, Israel and Epstein were not going to be treated the same way as anything else. And if you look around the country, like they are going after certain things, but they've definitely got something else going on over here with this other stuff.
Okay.
I mean, I have opinions on that, and it involves China and some other things, but I don't talk about those things because I don't want to, muddy up the whole Richard Allen thing. So
that would be a members only type of thing.
Not even that. Like I just, I don't feel like, I feel like the everything that we've been through over the last, since World War II has been about the decline of the American empire, bringing the American empire down to the level of all the other countries, so that we're just another nation among nations. And so all the politics and all of that stuff has been interesting to us, or it's kept us occupied while they were busy building this other thing. So I don't really get into the politics of it so much. I think that we all have more, in common than they have with us.
And it's a distraction more so than anything else, right? Because
but you just act locally if you can. And like if you're paying attention,
that's where it matters.
The more you pay attention, the more power they have over you.
Especially for judges that are elected to the bench. Yeah. That's very important.
Yeah.
District attorneys, things like this. We need to have an active.
I remember, I agree. So the reason that like Delphi really caught my attention, the reason I left just looking at the mainstream is when the Franks came out. And because I'm from Indiana. And so when I saw some of the names in there, I was like, oh my God. And so I really started looking into it. One of my earlier memories as a child is my grandfather. I was at a campsite, and my grandpa says to me, he's introducing me to these two dudes, and they have that same hat on. You know what hat I'm talking about? That hat that I don't know what it's like a paperboy hat or something.
Oh,
popular. You see Brad wearing it. But my grandpa was like, he's introducing me to these two guys, and he's like, them's good old boys. He's like, them's some good old boys. He's meet these good old boys. And and it wasn't until this whole situation that like, so when you say, getting rid of judges and voting and all of that, there's a network, and I don't understand the good old boy network so much, but it's a thing.
It's more than a thing. It's the way that
you're either a good old boy or you're not.
And if you're not, then you're out. Like you're never getting in, actually. Right?
I don't know. So, I have no idea.
They'll drive you crazy. They'll make sure you have a nervous breakdown, pretty much.
But like if you, I don't understand it. But there's something very like Indiana is very like you can. I think it was very ripe for this AFA, thing because, the Klan was huge in Indiana, and I think everybody knows that. But I think their kids and grandkids grew up knowing that, well, why are you saying you're Christian? That's a Jewish God. That's not a white God. And so they wanted this other thing. And so it's very fertile ground for, you know, Norse pagan, whatever.
Okay. And then, so if that's true, so do they have various facts? So there's how many adjacent groups do you think that there are?
I have no idea.
Okay.
So I just think that you have like the prison population that
which
you know,
is
taking this on. Right.
Right.
Okay. So, and that involves guards, everything else.
Okay.
But you've got a lot of these groups that are just kind of like interchangeable, you know? So a lot of the guys that, you know, you got guys coming in and out of the horsemen, guys coming in and out of other groups. And, you know, they change their names. I
didn't realize that the clan was that big out there. So basically it left a void, right? I guess when some of that kind of,
well, I have no idea. I think that it just became the power structure. I think that it just became the power structure there.
And it metamorphosized into these other groups.
Well, you know, like it made attempts, like they all did. There was David Duke, you know, who but it's so when I some of what I saw, and I think early on, like I freaked people out, and maybe rightly so, like when the Knot Network got taken down by that, you know, the selfish act, apparently, I thought just because of the way the nature of the community and how active we were and how persistent and how, you know, really productive we were, that we were targeted and somehow they took the Knot down. And I was like, oh, it's the FBI, da 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 da. But that just comes from my experience in dealing with, you know, I know that the FBI does do that kind of thing, right? And I can remember in my region, there was a group of people that wanted to get politically active around 2016, and they had their first meeting at the local. There's a big hotel here. And when they showed up, and this is just, there's no racists in this thing. Like, it's not the thing that this was economic issues that they were concerned with. There were two 15-passenger vans that pulled up right beside the meeting. And out of this van poured all these Nazis. And I mean, they had the hair, they had the mustaches, they had these two huge Nazi flags that they pulled out. And who was standing across the street to take pictures? The news media were all there. The news media was all there to take pictures. And then there was this association. And so when you have groups like the Vinlanders and the American Guard and whoever, they're the boogeyman, right? And they're there, you know, for when they want to scare you, they pull them out. But the rest of the time, they do let them run amok. Those guys, you know, they're burning houses down. They're, you know, trying to kill their wives and shit. So they are generally like hateful, violent people, but they're not the norm, right? But they want to associate you with the norm. If you're right of center, they want to associate you with that. Yeah. So when I came at this, you know, I saw those dynamics, and you know, my expectation of these guys was maybe a little higher, like that. Because they are modern warfighters and because they are generally sophisticated in their actions. Like, for instance, when Patrick Westphal does an interview on who was it, Sleuth Intuition, you know, he's throwing a lot of shade at Brad Holder, and I really believed it. I really feel like he does not like Brad Holder, but when he was throwing shade on Messer, I felt like, meh. I think that's just like some public thing. Like if Messer, you were to talk to Messer, he would be like, oh, Patrick Westphal's a piece of shit, you know? But really, they were bros. That's the gut feeling I got. And then if you look at like people's histories, and they are truly, you know, they're truly capable of violence against the defenseless. And so, yes, I do see that at the time, you know, the Charlottesville riot came down. I know I'm jumping here, and this is going to be confusing to people. So some of for anybody that watches this, some of the suspects in this case, the year of the killings, they were involved in a bunch of marches and rallies where they were on the political right, and they basically they would tell you they were providing security for the marchers. So they went on a series of marches that went from March in Indianapolis all the way out to Charlottesville, I think in August of the same year. But in Charlottesville, that rally went deadly, and people died, and people got hurt, and there was a lot of bad things. All of those characters were there. Like Patrick Westphall's filmed there. The leader of the group, Brian James, is filmed there. He's mentioned in the latest drop. So these people were all there, and just days later, all of their investigation, into those people got lost. And so my instant, thought is that, okay, these guys were actually innocent, and there's an op going on here. Like the FBI was basically following these guys around and trying to get them to go violent so that they could justify, some kind of, social change.
Right.
But, when I look at it, I'm like, you're looking at some of these things these cops are saying, Murphy and Click and Ferenczi, and they had eyes on these guys, and so, and the lawyers, some of the questions that these guys are asking, I think that they're really on to something. I think that there was something going on, and I do think that they had a patsies set up for it, and I don't understand it all, but I think that these guys were capable of it. So I can't, I have to be willing to be wrong, be flexible, and whatever. So
it's interesting stuff, Josh. I don't know.
Are you following me, or am I being too confusing because I can't finish a sentence?
No, I'm good. We're all following. It's in Critical True Crime even went back to say that was Unite the Right, right?
Yes, the Unite the Right
demonstrations, right? Yeah. No, I'm following you. For me, it also goes back to just wanting justice for like Abby and Libby, you know what I'm saying? And so that's what I'm talking about with these distractions, is that we get caught up in all of this because that's the only way to resolve this issue, is to solve it, is to break down and kind of dissolve and untangle this crazy ball of corrupt yarn, I am very happy with my life. I'm not suicidal, and I'm never going to take my life ever. Like, I love my life. I think that there's a power structure that is running America, a dark force. Okay. And I think that's what's going on here. It's the same people who sex traffic the little children. It is the elite. It is the top, whatever, 1%, and all of their little cartels. So I think it all comes from this main power structure of Illuminati, and very, honestly, like spiritually powerful people, I believe. Okay. And then from there, it all trickles down. It all trickles down to very 3D matrix kind of like cartel thing, and they keep people quiet with blackmail and all of this. So who did it exactly? We're never going to know. That's what pisses me off the most.
But you can get who's responsible, and I think the local officials. So we both agree, right? So I think that there's it's usually run through political PACs. So there's the big one was that went national was Act Blue, who they were working with cartel money, and I think it was Bank of Canada or TD Bank was laundering the money offshore or in Canada, really. Through fraudulent mortgages. But there's a couple PACs that are Republican in Tennessee and in Indiana that were doing the exact same thing. So it's a business model.
Yeah.
There's a business model that they find. And so they make the money with drugs and trafficking on the ground. That money gets sent overseas to a bank that will take it. Right. It gets put into fraudulent mortgages. And so your county assessor is typically like the people that these guys are going after. Well, this guy, Sean Taylor, this cop, they're going after these county assessors because they're the ones who see these fraudulent mortgages and okay them. So like when you find a county assessor that eventually becomes the mayor and then the governor, right? So, and then you find these mortgages like on a house that's just insane. So what interested me about the Patties was you have somebody who does assessments for properties, right? And so it's like, if I was theorizing, I would say like, you know, there's some kind of financial network. There was some kind of takeover of a cartel, like it was like a hostile takeover. Right. But who knows, you know?
I think that's close. I mean, it seems
but you think it's a more spiritual kind of
in the end.
Okay.
In the end, because I do think that okay, so I think at the top of all of this, it's really it's the Illuminati. It really is. Yeah, it's like dark forces, like it's the reptilians.
So when you say Illuminati, you're just saying like generally, kind of like when I say feds, it's just general feds. So when you say Illuminati,
like
do you mean the actual?
If there, do you really want to know? I do think that there are. I'm not ready to talk about this yet, guys. They're gonna kill me. Are you kidding? So, okay, like in the Catholic Church, let me just give you a for instance. So in the Catholic Church, there are really Masons running the Catholic Church, right?
Yeah.
And they're really doing black magic, right? They're really doing satanic rituals inside of all of these cathedrals and what have you, when nobody else is there. Those are the actual priests. Those are the people who are actually running things. And they're running sex trafficking like rings with like Columbia, with their seminarians from Columbia, like Columbian Pipeline. So basically what I'm saying is like, it's the same thing. The people who are running that are the same people who are behind everything that's going on in Delphi with like you said, like the mortgage scams and the business models and things like that. So when I say Illuminati, I'm just mean a dark force behind. Does that make sense, or do I sound crazy?
Yeah, I just
everybody's
so
like Kari.
When the girls like what's very intriguing to me. One of the reasons I like talking to cryptics. Did I interrupt you? I did.
No.
Okay. Is that, you know, one, he disagrees with me on several key points, and it's always good to engage with someone like that. And if you're going to be credible, don't be in an echo chamber. So talk to cryptics. Is that, you know, he focuses a lot on the clients, and you know, you have people who, you know, I don't know a whole lot about phones. I guess DB Cooper, if he's in the thing, somebody had mentioned something about several, what are they, SIM cards that could be used, or they could be cloning or whatever, on these phones. But I felt like whoever did it was very technically savvy. Right? There was something that was very sophisticated about the murder, right?
I agree.
But you know, like, so I feel like those girls, there were several girls in that region were being trafficked. I feel like there was another girl there that day. I think there was a third girl. Yeah. I think there was somebody else being catfished, but I don't know. I have no idea. Yeah. I would say that like whoever was there was definitely like had targeted those girls and wanted to pick them, and it did remove those girls. They were successful.
I do think that Klein probably has something to do with it. I do, but I think he's like lower level, like Elvis Fields type of.
Well, you just have people that like you let get away with crimes, but you benefit from it somehow, right? So like you have access to that blackmail material. You have access to those girls. You know who they are. You can get them anytime. You have you know, somebody pick them up. So where do we have CSAM that it's not used for political control? I think everywhere. You have sexual abuse, you have blackmail, you have all of those things going on.
And drugs.
And if you've got like that culture, like there's so much of that, like everywhere you turn in this story, you know, Elena McFarland, Josh Ward's girlfriend. So Josh Ward died in a fire in Clovis, New Mexico. He was beaten, basically left for dead a few months before the murders of Libby and Abby. By his motorcycle club. And he and his girlfriend left Delphi in 2023, I think, end of 2022.
Oh, okay.
And they died in a house fire. She had CSAM charges, 2 of them, and did hard time, or did, time for it. There's just so many of those people. Like how many suspects came and went early on in the case, and they all had, like, they were legit. Like these people were putting kids in basements and stuff. Like
you would be surprised. And it's just from my perspective, like having, and now starting up my business again, but just as a Reiki healer, that's it. Just people coming to me. How many people have been trafficked, but we don't talk about it. And they, people will come to me because they'll go to therapy and they can't get what they need. And so they come to a spiritualist, a Reiki healer, and they start pouring their heart out about their trafficking stories. And it's serious, and it happens all the time. And it's so common that it would be, in my opinion, at least the people who come to me, maybe they're drawn to me or something, but I've heard it from other healers as well. People would be mortified, horrified to find out how common it really is that, at some point, like these young children have been trafficked at least once or twice in different ways.
Yeah.
And that's the sad reality of our country that we don't really talk about.
Well, we go back to the Franklin scandal. So like it's, I don't know. It's kind of like we all look at, Israel, and we say Israel's doing this, the Mossad and Epstein and that sort of thing. But it's not just Israel, right? I mean, if they're doing it, who else isn't doing it? Right. I think there was a guy on Joe Rogan years ago who said, he admitted, like on camera, he said that if he was overseas and he was trying to recruit someone and that person wanted a kid, he would get him a kid. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's like if you're playing for the nukes, mm-hmm. You're not playing for, like, I don't know, you're playing for all the marbles. You're playing for world domination.
Yeah.
What aren't you going to do?
Do you think we're going to find Abby and Libby's murderer, like the real one? I mean, we have to get Richard out, but we're never going to find their killers.
I have no idea. We don't even know the time of death, right? So, like, how are we going to find the killers? So supposedly, I mean, maybe when some people die out, some people that are responsible, maybe they were killed. I don't know. Who knows? I know that there were some guys who were probably brought in afterwards to decorate the scene.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think that's Fields, and I think that's
Fields,
whoever was there.
Yeah.
And there are certain people that are connected with that crowd that are just far too savvy and have far too, like, they have ambitions politically and all of that, that just, this is not their thing, right? They're not their thing. I'm talking about, like, leadership. But, rank and file and guys like that who were actively recruiting people that, had serious issues, drug problems and mental health issues and that sort of thing. They were actively recruiting these people. And so who knows, like, they could have recruited a total monster. I don't know, but clearly you got a total monster. I couldn't kill a kid.
I don't think you would.
Like, yeah. I think it was Patrick Westphal that said something like, whoever did it had heart. And people kind of took that a certain way. And, but it's like, whoever did that wanted to do it, and they've done it before, and if they're still alive, they've done it since, right?
It's too it's too precise.
Because if you got,
it doesn't look like a crime of passion, basically, is what you're saying.
Well,
We all know that it's not. But yeah.
I can't, like I've never sat in an office with someone who I just like, I can't imagine that you couldn't come across that person who did that and not see it on their face. Like the thing that blew my mind about Richard Allen was I'm looking him in the eye and I'm like, that guy didn't kill anybody, let alone two little girls,
Well,
whoever did this thing, like,
see, and that's what gets, I feel like that's the distraction too, is like, because we just need to get Richard out at this point. And it's so unfortunate because we're never going to find Abby and Libby's killers ever. Right. And so the distraction of all of the corruption with Richard, that's the most infuriating part, because we get sidetracked to, looking for the killers when really right now we just need to get Richard out, because we're never going to solve the case. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, I'm not the guy. So you're right. Hopefully I didn't say anything that was totally offensive or
I think you were great.
Okay, great. So I agree. I think that, focusing on Rick and, because proving the state's theory completely wrong is like the next step to getting the investigation really rolling. But who knows if that's going to happen, because you've got these weird things happening, right? You've got Holman acting very strangely. Holman, so
as opposed to when he's always acted pretty weird, right?
Well, okay. So the next part to what I was writing about Click was Click had been, Holman told Click, hey, come on in, let me ease your mind about Richard Allen. And by the way, bring me all your investigative materials.
Right.
So he could compare what Click had to what Baldwin had given him, so that he knew that he was the source of the Odin report.
Okay.
So he set him up. Well, he said, so I can ease your mind. Holman called me, right? So Holman calls me after I reach out to them about threats made against defense witnesses. He calls me and tells me he's calling to ease my mind. And then and then at the end of the conversation, he asks me if I know this defense witness. So the whole conversation was not to ease my mind. It was to pump me for information. In the same, that was the MO that he has. He's going to ease your mind, but he's pumping you for information. So
it's a typical predator kind of.
But you have, it is weird that Doug Carter kind of became the information officer,
the PR person.
Yeah, for this thing. Like, why is that? Like what is this whole thing?
Because he has a friend that does radio. No, I know.
There's something there.
They're all bad at their job, woman.
And anytime you've got, I mean, if you're in politics or if you're in power, to me, you're suspect. I'm sorry. It's like, at this point in our history, it's just like, who isn't corrupt, And when you've got the proximity to the Dropbox, and you've got those girls clearly being trafficked, where did that go? There's all hands on deck. I feel like nobody wanted this thing solved. Like, and if you're going to not solve a child's murder, there's got to be a payoff, right?
And several children too. We have two plus. So
it's just like there's things going on there that are just very dark, and
Yeah, I mean, Carter, like, all eyes is one day we're gonna find out Carter was weirdest of them all, and I like, who was it? Somebody just posted on X, I think it was Streets, an old picture of Trump on a bed with strawberry shortcake pillows. He's in nothing but a robe, like on this. Yeah, it was so creepy, and it was that's what I feel like we're gonna find from Doug Carter one day, like him.
All Eyes is funny. All Eyes is sitting on it. I know All Eyes is sitting on it.
It's gonna be leather with Doug Carter. I see leather garters. Like, this is just for entertainment purposes only. Yeah. I'm just making a joke. It's satire commentary. I'm not actually stating a claim. All right, just have to do that.
So woman saying something that's very true. Yeah, the Hype family is related to by marriage.
By marriage.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Like, I think it's ex-wife's family or something like that.
Interesting.
Yeah. So like they're part of my. I mean, that's just like.
It's a web.
The things that okay. So I went to when I only had 16. I say only 16 bodies, and it sounds very disrespectful, but I had 16 bodies that were all connected to this. The 16 deaths that were connected to this murder at the time, and I went to an actuary. First, I went to Grok and I asked Grok, is this possible? In an 8-year period,
you went to Grok and not chat.
Yeah, I went to Grok, and then Grok gave me this huge number, and it was like 41 with 61 zeros behind her, something like that.
Oh, okay.
Well, some number I'd never heard of, but it was less than a Google. So then I go to some actuaries and I start asking them, and they want more information. And by the time I finished the conversation, the guy was like, "Oh yeah, the probability that these are not connected is 0." So you have this family die, and then across town the father dies, right? And it's but they're all connected to these other deaths, and I'm pushing. And somebody, AC is always asking me to follow up, and I am following up. I'm just feeling really bad. I'm up at. I've been trying to give some of this away, so maybe I'll give some of this away to some people if I know that they'll push it. But I'm at like 40 bodies now, and so my rule was I had to directly connect them to the person that I felt was there was 2 people, one family and then one person.
Okay,
Holder and the Patties. So I've got 40 bodies and like 8.5 years now, something like that. Wow. And these aren't, that's the thing. This is not JFK. This is not JFK. This is not cancer and heart attacks. This is fires. This is getting shot in the head. This is suicides.
You've done such incredible. This is crazy. Yeah, you've done such incredible work, Josh.
And it spans. So you're right. Like, are you closing up? Like, are we at the end?
No, I'm listening.
No, I haven't done. So that's the thing is like it's not my work. Like it's like the communities. Like I rely on the stuff that everybody else is doing to flesh things out. So like I said, when I mentioned Click, because his thing was coming up, he was already on other people's minds as well. So I saw Catastrophe the other day for the first time, by the way, in a long time.
Oh yeah.
I said hi. She didn't say hi back. So.
Oh, you saw her on X?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I'm never on there anymore, but I'm sure we'll clip this and tell her you said hi.
Yeah. But she was one of them, and All Eyes.
She's amazing.
And some of these people just gave their work away, and then so I don't have a hard time believing that we have feds in our midst, or even cartel members in our midst. Of course we would, right?
So critical.
But some of these people have just done so much important work and good work and
amazing work.
Just don't like. I don't know. Don't destroy the conversation. Like you just have to like expect that everybody's going to be here, and you're not going to agree with everyone, right?
No,
you're not going to agree with everyone because we're all here with our toolkit. Whatever we had when we saw this thing, that's what we showed up with. Some of us are weird. Some of us are genuinely strange. But whatever.
You all have the biggest hearts I've ever experienced and felt. And that's why you guys do this work, and it's very inspiring. But Critical True Crime said Josh needs to do a stream connecting all the dots. Is that something you would consider doing?
Well, I mean, yeah, like I'm going to like as far as the body count is concerned,
right?
That's like, because my my interest in this thing has always been the national security angle.
Right.
So,
Okay.
And people laughed early on about that, and
because you're
that's fine because it sounds crazy. It does. It sounds nuts on its face. But then you have all these agencies, and then you have all this secrecy. So recently, like I made my first big like error with the English language was this whole thing with I think Glenn Beck came out and said that, you know, the J6 pipe bomber was CIA, and it's this girl. And and so the reason I jumped on that was because I had read through those court documents, and she was entered as a witness under seal. And so that piqued my interest. I was like, whoa, because that kind of thing, you know, I'm like, ooh, why is she under seal? Right. So then I look her up, and then she's elsewhere. She's listed, and it looks like she's listed as Secret Service. And so like I made this post, and I was like, this chick's Secret Service, not CIA. But I was wrong. You know, apparently she may be. But, you know, I did that because Glenn Beck is just he's a gatekeeper, and I wanted to like, you know, say something like, oh yeah, well, but the thing is there's those aspects are in this case, right? So we do have, you know, Holder and Westfall being interviewed immediately. The girls go missing, and immediately Klein's residence is under surveillance by the FBI, ISP, and Evansdale police are notified immediately.
Yeah. They were the fall. Yeah.
Like, why?
To take the fall. Yeah.
Like, what is that? You know?
Fall guys.
And you've got, you know, I've never been able to, you know, I really started like asking and talking about this publicly, and like, you know, asking Baldwin, like, hey, did you get a national security letter? You know, is there some kind of like administrative, you know, whatever put on Richard Allen so that he couldn't speak? Same with Klein. You know, I was never able to get those answers, and nobody's asking, right? Which of course I think is suspicious. So in terms of like answering, that's the long way of saying that, yes, I can put some of these bodies together and show the connections. And I was rigorous too. Like there was people that I left off because I couldn't connect them.
So, okay. So what? Yeah. So the number could have been much greater.
Oh my God. Like the just in the area, it's almost like there's a war of some kind going on. Like there's something going on.
Is.
There's like a war going on between, you know, something. So
light and dark.
Well, I mean, dark and dark. Right. Dark and dark. Yeah.
It's true.
So there's.
Okay. So spiritually, like this, you know, the age of Aquarius is upon us, right? So in the spiritual way, right? So there's this separation between the 3D matrix and this new Earth. Okay. So, right. So basically the concept is that we're all going to be in the same space, but the energetics is going to separate these two intentions or two. Yeah. And so the dark and the dark.
Yeah. Well, you're not completely losing me because I've eaten a lot of mushrooms and I'm all about vibration. So.
All right. But what I'm like Mark's saying, like everything is controlled. No, but like what I'm saying is I honestly believe that the corruption and the energy that fed it and covered it up, it's going to turn on itself. Does that make sense? Well, and they're all going to die of cancer, and they're all like they're all going to they're going to implode basically. Well, it might take 100 years. Is what I'm saying.
Well, I mean, like a lot of people have died in like 40, and a lot of innocent people have died. So you've got children, you know. So like in that number of 40, so you're not just talking about cops and judges and polygraph
and babies,
you know, and things, the children. Yeah. Right. So there's this like this they do not care about innocent life, and it's not if it's in the way, it's
they get power off of the off of that. But anyway, but we would love to see something if you're comfortable. Like, I think it would be cool. Like, you could even do like a recorded video connecting everything.
So, I mean, I did, like, I got that, what is it? I've got a lot of it done.
Okay,
I got
good.
I forget the name of the program. It's like it's like Adobe Express or something
Whatever.
like that.
Okay,
you can do something. So I'm working on that. But
cool. We would love to see it.
Like there are creators who, like All Eyes and DB and whoever, else is working on that stuff. Like their material is very slick. And so like when I'm doing my stuff, I'm like, man,
don't compare yourself.
Doesn't look as nice. It's like,
all right, DB works for free. He'll don't worry, he'll do. No, I'm sure it's great. It's your content. Okay, so that's what.
Well, that's like
we need the information.
But that information's out there. I mean, it's just, that's the thing. Like, like a lot of this stuff, you just ask somebody. Like Prof and Silky Southern Tea did before I think anybody, they did a body count thing. And I think they made it to like 20, something like that. They did one. And, that's before a lot of the stuff was going down. But, then it went down and it was just like, that doesn't make sense to me. Like I'm seeing something there that, I have people that I genuinely enjoy talking to, and then they'll turn around and they'll say something to some people that I'm just like, Jesus, what did you say to that person? Like,
what do you mean?
Why? Well, I mean, I'm not going to really get specific, but I would say this, that if somebody says something about you on Twitter, right? Okay, here you go. For me, it's all about proportional response. Like if I disagree with you and you say something,
never,
right? And then you say, I think that Brad Holder is guilty. And I say, well, I don't think he's guilty, right? Well, 20 of your friends come in support of you. And then they say, that I'm wrong or whatever. Now, at that point, I have the decision to either engage 20 friends of yours.
Yeah.
Okay. Or I can realize that I've already expressed my opinion. They've expressed theirs, and I can just leave it at that. And I can say, hey, we disagree, and that's fine. Or I can take the fact that 20 people just expressed their opinion, and I can get online and do a 4-hour live stream about each one of those people.
Oh, are we talking about somebody? Okay.
Right. So, and that is not a proportional response, right? So I'm taking an exchange that happened on Twitter, and it was just really just between two people, and then a bunch of other people expressed their opinion, right? So I can own that, and I can get angry about it, and I can do a 4-hour live stream about it, but that's not a proportional response, because how many people are be coming across all of those Twitter, comments, right? Versus how many people are going to be coming across a video and a live stream of you saying this person's a this, and this person's a criminal, and this person's got something in their background, and you never say what it, right? And so like, but the when you do that over and over again, the result is that, people that are really talented, and maybe they do have something in their past that they're embarrassed about, but does that mean that they shouldn't be able to come out here and say something about Richard Allen and create content and all of that? But people get, and like people who have really good content and they're talented, are just kind of slow down. They slow their roll, and it destroys the conversation. And that, and that hurts Richard Allen, because that takes,
that's true.
That lets all of this stuff happen in the dark. It happens without a response, so that, Indiana can do whatever they want to do. And there's nobody, right? And so I think that's the greater evil. Like if
it's the classic, smearing the whistleblowers, but it's a different dynamic, essentially.
I have no idea. I don't understand it all, because, I've had, conversations with people that have come out and attacked others that, I genuinely like both people, but I can't defend some of the things that they've said. But, like, I don't really. So we're in an environment where, you know, it's some of it is I don't know. You know, people do get targeted, people get, you know, hacked, people get
swatted.
You know, like, yeah, but if people are like, you know, like if they're being nice to you, sometimes you're the target, you know, they're not really wanting to be nice to you. Get off the internet if you're not willing to deal with that. I don't know. I would just encourage people to like start making, you know, content, and it's good to see criminality and them doing their stuff. I would like to see
with the transcripts and the everything. Yeah, it's incredible. They're doing really
but you know, I think like Luke and whatnot, I think some of the critique of Luke was like, you know, you're in another country and that's why they, you know, wanted to release a video, you know, through you. And I'm like, well, so what? That just makes sense. like I don't
even know what the heck. I don't know. Yeah. See, this is what with people with, I think I know who we're talking about. Like, that's why I don't even pay attention, because it's just a distraction, right? It's just
yeah, but I'm only saying it because like
I know why you are.
Like, well, no, I'm not even critiquing the person,
right?
So much as I want to encourage people, you know, to maybe look at it a little and understand that it doesn't make sense that, you know, people who have spent so much time helping build a community and a conversation to then try to destroy it. Like that doesn't, you know, it doesn't.
The four corners, right? Try to use four corners when we're looking at the intention of others, right?
But you know, like what people do, like I can't argue with some people's talent. Some people are just really talented, and I'm glad they're here, because some of us aren't. You know, like we are a force to be dealt with. You know, and I think, you know, I've always looked forward to Luke's content on X and online. I always have, and R&M Productions the same way. You know, those people are politically, you know, in probably a different area than I am, but you can't argue with like with the talent and the body of work. I mean,
no, they're great. And we're all Luke. We all get to take turns being Luke. I'm just kidding. That's a joke. It's an X joke. But yeah, you know.
So
no, I hear you.
We had talked before. Okay, are you trying to close up, or do we have
no? I'm just paying attention.
So you had talked about like we had, you know, talked a little bit on X, you know, I don't know, over the year or so, and you said that you had another project that you were really wanting to kind of work on, and you were gonna. Is this it? Is this what you're wanting to do?
I'm getting there. I have some things about the church I need to do.
Okay.
Yeah. It's kind of related to that.
Do you have a history with the church or something?
Yeah, I used to work for the church. I yeah, I do. I used to work for the Archdiocese of Newark. And currently I'm going to say I'm almost done with my video, Josh. Like I'm really working hard on the production of it because I figured some things out and I'm kind of scared. So that's why I keep saying like, I'm not suicidal. I really love my life. I have, you know, I enjoy my life and I have a lot of plans for the future. And because it's very Delphi-ish sometimes when you look and you find some of these things. So yeah, it's kind of like weeding out just talking, like whistleblowing a little bit of stuff like that.
Sure. But, interesting. Yeah. I think like there's a lot of room for that. I mean, it's funny because I have a background in that too. Like wow. I don't know. So yeah, my background's definitely in like the more interesting conversations for me are things concerning consciousness and spirituality and that sort of thing. And true crime is not my thing at all. I'm just here because this is like something that it just can't happen. Like we've seen this and this shit can't keep going.
It's so crazy. Yeah. No, it can't keep going because it's infiltrating everywhere. And the whole point of getting into true crime and trial watching for me is because I saw all of the representations of what I was trying to help people with as a healer. And then also seeing it in the church, right? Yeah. So, but then once you get into it and then you find Delphi and it's just a shithole of a vortex of craziness. It has everything. It has everything. It has every attachment issue that you would like anything that would keep people from looking at what's really going on is present in this case. There's trauma, there's like attachment issues with children, there's the spiritual aspect of it, there's this political aspect of it. It's really so well designed as a distraction. It's like, do you know what I'm saying? It's like the perfect creation. Do you know what I'm saying?
Okay. Yeah. And some people see that and they,
it's crazy.
Like, I think some people, see that kind of thing and they feel maybe like they can take it on. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I can't and maybe, they see that and then they start assuming certain people are definitely this, that, or the other thing. And I'm speaking in general here because I'm trying to be delicate, but, and I think that, I just go back to, like, what can I do and what can I not do? It's economy of force. I can spend all day railing against, whatever. And you do have it. Like, it's funny. Like, I found my FBI informant, right? And we
in your
talking.
office because you're the feds too.
No. I find him, and then he is all angry because he thinks that creators are trying to steal his stuff. And all I got from him, for the most part, was just a bunch of like, dirt on creators. And I'm like, what is this? And then so you go elsewhere and then it's just a bunch of dirt on creators. And, but we've got this freaking snake over here that's 40 feet tall and is killing people. Like, that's way more interesting than all the people who are into Thelema and,
Yeah.
And I don't,
like Mars said, yeah.
I don't know. Like I don't know. Like,
I feel
like some of it lost me. Like I don't know. Like, man, I don't want to get into it. So I'm not.
That's what I'm saying. I think we need to
stop
before
we. I can understand and I can get, and because I do believe, because I've interacted with people that are definitely not well-meaning, and I've had, like Fig Solves affiliated people, and Murder Sheet affiliated people come after me. So like that stuff is there. But some of the other stuff, and I don't know, like whatever.
Like women said, like the creators are the safer target.
Maybe I don't know. I mean, like, if you're there to destroy the conversation, like, I don't know. Like, if you got a kill shot, take it. If not, it's just kind of like, what are you doing? But then, like, so Erica Morse had contact with this girl. No. Well, look, I mean, listen, some of her material is very good when it gets off of talking about other creators. But here's the thing, like, some of this community, like, can you imagine being her for a second and leaving the courtroom after doing work, on this case, and having a bomb to drop? She's going to tell the world that, that this is Odinist killed Ferenczi. And then, it doesn't go off. Right. And what was, I can't judge, everybody's response to that. But clearly it didn't land. The soil wasn't prepped for that. Maybe it's true. I've seen evidence to support that. I've even seen disinformation that was seeded out there, on Pinterest about Shane Meehan that was very interesting. Very interesting disinformation about Shane Meehan that was out there. But clearly it did not land. And then, the community's response to her and she's been, very abrasive as well. And it saddens me because some of that work there that she's done is really good. And she's had communications with this girl who died recently. Did you hear about this?
No.
So there's a girl named Shauna who was in a truck with someone else, and that truck drove into like a river in Michigan City, Indiana, northern Indiana, by Chicago.
Okay.
And she was making accusations that was connected to the Dropbox and some of the public officials who were involved in trafficking and that sort of thing. And then she dies.
Okay.
Because she worked in a hotel or a motel or something like that. And she was privy to seeing some of these parties and some of the trafficking. Well, she dies. And this is like at the early in the month or last month. And I think it was on the 5th. Anyhow, the guy goes to the hospital. She dies. They are not releasing the guy's name. And there are crickets. There's nobody is talking. And when I talked to somebody in Indianapolis, they told me that a story had been killed in the newsroom about this because they're keeping it as quiet as possible. And Erica Morris has just gone pretty quiet about it as well. So, I'd be interested in hearing more about that, but
you're not going to.
Yeah. I don't know.
Interesting.
I don't know.
So how long ago was that? When did that happen?
The 5th, I think.
Oh, okay. So very recently.
November 5th. Yeah. And so, but there was right away, there was disinformation spread about her. They talked about her being from Kentucky, which was one of her former, residences was Kentucky, but she had lived and worked in Indiana for a long time. She was part of that community. So there was disinformation immediately about her death, and then just silence. On to the next thing.
Okay.
Which the media in Indiana is a see nothing, say nothing organization.
Again, so that brings us back to the beginning with why there wasn't a grassroots movement for Rick and things like that. So it's all a big web. It's all a big web. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, classic overthinker. I agree that, that maybe some of her responses or, actions not been, like the way she's responded to things hasn't been like always the best. And, maybe if you go out and you make a statement like that, but what do? Like, you're full of emotion. You're getting a chance to be on camera, and literally you've just seen a person get railroaded and falsely accused and railroaded and sent to prison for a crime he did not commit. You've got this information because you've seen some discovery and you've got something that you think and you're going to tell people that.
So can we just say this out loud? So we're talking about Erica Morris. This was after the conviction, and she went. Is this the Vinnie Politan?
Yes, this is Vinnie. Okay. This is the look on Bob's face that was seen around the world.
And so, and so she went on Vinnie with Bob, and she's like, "Back me up, Bob," and he's like, "Yeah." So I remember, but okay, my reaction to that, traumatized. When I first saw her, and I said I was never going to do this, but I'm going to do it, that she's having like a PTSD moment, honestly. And so I felt bad for her when everybody was going against her. But like she said, who said that? Classic overthinker, maybe, I don't know, or Mar, that she's her worst enemy because she starts she's attacking all the time this Erica Morris. It's a lot. So I really felt bad for her at first because I did see her as this person who was traumatized and hardworking, but then all these other things, and then I'm just like, you know what? I can't even deal with it. Fuck you this. Like, I'm over it. Like how else can we free Richard Allen? Right. Because it gets to a point where it's like so much bullshit. And I'm just like, I can't even deal with it. Right.
Well, the cranks have teeth too.
Well, a little bit. Yeah. No, a lot.
Shabugs, do you two have teeth? I think you have teeth. So it's just like, can we, I don't think that we've gotten to a place, and people have said some very vicious stuff, right? So I think that maybe we've gotten to a place where like forgive and forget is just not possible. But I also think that like this idea of like, you know, I think disengaging is just a good thing. But I always try to like, I want to make peace, you know?
Yeah.
I got to realize that you can't fix everything. You know what I mean?
It's all a distraction, guys. All of it is just a distraction.
But you know, like, are we still able to glean from, you know, maybe some of the research that people are doing and acknowledge that while we might not get along with them, some of those things are useful even, right?
I think we learn the most from people we disagree with. And I don't know how many people could really, I wish that most people would see it that way, because I always learn the most from people who I don't agree with. They teach me.
Well, I mean, I guess I'm talking more specifically about the research about this case. And I mean, I got the vibe that,
well, that's what I mean.
Maybe the attorneys really felt like, you know, coming out that way was maybe a little ill-advised, you know, or maybe, but I don't know. I can't speak for anybody. I just feel like
either way, like Mark said, it doesn't help Rick, and
yeah, right. And so like there's things about this case that would be titillating or fascinating, just, you know, to like just general people looking at corruption. But you know, who does it help and who does it hurt? And if you know, there's some stories in this case that like there is no upside. There is no upside, you know. Mm-hmm. That's why I will go and delete conversations that I have on Twitter because I realize that, you know, sometimes I maybe push things a little too far. And here's, you know, like people aren't stupid, and you know, take Bob Motta and people like that. Like mm-hmm. when I saw that Bob was just seeing kind of some of the same things that I was seeing in this other case, I'm like, well, why doesn't he see this? Well, maybe he does. And maybe he realizes that, you know, not going there right now isn't necessarily
it's discernment.
Yeah. So
all right, Josh, you're the best. You are. I'm happy to have you here.
Well, I'm glad to be here. It was fun.
Yeah, thank you for saying yes. I think we're gonna go though.
Are we?
Yeah. Do you have anything else you want to say to the people? We said a lot today. Like we've really covered a lot. We really. Oh,
I'm not trying to like. You're obviously tired, and we should get going. I just, you know, want to thank everybody for doing what you're doing, and
we want to see your video. Yeah. We want to see your 40 people video, 40 body video. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I gotta do it right. And, mm-hmm. you know, like I said, I've been pushing some of this stuff to other, like I've always, you know, I don't really feel like I'm a creator as much as I just trying to talk to creators who can do this stuff way better than I can.
You're an investigator. You're a sleuth. You are. And a damn good one. Damn good one. So, Josh, I want to thank you for being here tonight. I do have to go because it is about 40.
No, seriously, I appreciate it, and thank you so much for letting me come on and like get a win under my belt and be able to finish sentences. You know.
No, it's so good to see you again. We miss you so much, and Free Rick Allen. All right. And you're going to come back one day and we're going to do this more. Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
Cool.
absolutely.
All right. It was awesome having you. All right, guys in the chat. Thank you. Have a good night.
Good night.
Bye, guys.